I needed a mannequin, and this looked too good to skip. Cammy is appropriately shorter than Fei Long. It comes with a yelling head, 2 extra hands, and an effect. The effect is 4 kicks. But thanks to the shape of the hole and the sculpt not being overtly kick specific, it can be used with the arms too. It's even got a hole to peg and a stand. No actual stand however. There's also a character relevant backdrop. For the figure itself, dumbbell for the top, and a single peg at the base. Side to side is good, but looking up is limited, and looking down is pathetic. The base of the neck should be hollowed out by the anterior, especially since it's obscured anyways. The pigtails and hair bangs are a soft plastic, and the pigtails swivel. Arms are standard. Elbows are only really limited by the gauntlets, which don't rotate. Would have been neat if they did, but it's not a deal breaker either way. Horizontal hinges on the hands, and by the way the sculpt for the open palm ones nail a good balance between dainty and stiff, to suit multiple purposes. Upper torso moves well. They probably could have gotten more range out of it, but don't quote me on that. The lower torso's worse. Just like the neck, it's inferior to Fei Long's. The fat dumbbell should be trimmed, and so should the cavity of the lower torso. Legs kick forward up to 90 degrees with the help of the swivel. Seems it can kick even higher thanks to a drop-down setup that I'm not sure exists. Kicks back nicely though. And the side range is straight up excellent. Knees are about as good as you can get with this simple setup. The ankles go back really well, go forward less well, and the tilting angle is shit. But the boot swivels, so that evens out. Good overall balance between articulation and sculpt. I wish they'd retire thigh cuts to preserve more of the sculpt, but that's a subjective thing. The sculpt itself is a good translation of the source material. Broad shoulders, thin waist, defined abs, wide hips, and muscular limbs. It could be slightly more beefy and toned, but the general look and proportions are great for what they are going for. T&A are about right too. Now, for the face. It looks fucking nothing like the in-game portrait. But they are aiming for the essence of the SF2 style rather than 1-to-1, so it's good in that context. Artistic liberties and all that. It looks like Cammy, and the paint hits where it should. Although the painted lips are questionable considering the simpler style of the rest of the figure. Unless the character is wearing lipstick, you only paint lips when the rest of the piece has the layers to evoke realism, which this doesn't. Makes that particular spot more sensual than probably needed, but that's why MMV territory. The rest of the paint is fine. Game accuracy aside, the colors pop nicely and the painted parts match the molded plastic. There's shading on her biceps, her thighs, her collarbone, her abs, her backside, etc etc. The choice of brown is a crude contrast on the skin compared to the leotard's more subtle green. But the depth added to the recesses is game changing nonetheless. There's also super subtle variation in the hair. Combined with the flat finish on most of the parts, this is another shining example of the quality possible for this price point. Emphasis on price point. Because there are dodgy spots excusable only because this isn't on a premium. Look at these cracks, Jesus fucking Christ.